Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Casual News. I am your host, Twiggy Stardust, but all the subscribers can call me Twig. And I am joined here by Internet's Rebound, Shadow Panda.
Man, I'm gonna get a fancy title every time.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking of new ones every time.
Oh, I believe it. You just never run out of things to say, do you?
Nope. Especially not this time. Well, actually, I will because this is more up your alley. But for our news this week, League of Legends turns 10. 10 years of League of Legends. Can you believe it?
Unfortunately, because that equates to about $1,000 a year that I've spent on this game.
I, I figured so. I mean, for everyone out there, I am not a League of Legends fan. I play Teamfight Tactics a lot. I enjoy that more, but I just recently got into that. I have not been a League of Legends fan forever. Like I think I played. You showed me League of Legends like 3, 4 years ago now, and I played maybe 2 matches of it, and then I was done.
Yeah, you're such a fan of Smite. I just never understood it.
I see. I don't know either because I don't even play Smite anymore. But
I know.
But so this episode is going to be more focused towards you because you've been a League fan for how long now?
Oh man, I've been playing League of Legends since season 2, so about 8 years, 7 years.
So I want to go back to that time, okay? Let's
Oh,
start from the
boy.
beginning. So when did you first see League of Legends? What brought you in?
Honestly, my best friend. He'd been playing League not very long at that point, only maybe a month or two, and he wanted new people to play with. And here we are. We are 8 years later and still going strong.
So when you get into your first match, what is your thought? Are you thinking, "Wow, this looks great. I think I'm going to love this," or were you kind of hesitant at first? Were you kind of not sold on League of Legends at first?
Honestly, my first thought when I got into my very first match was, man, I am screwed. Because
So
I didn't understand anything about the game. The tutorial at that time was crap. And I think even professional players at that point were still kind of like, what are we doing?
True, I guess you said if it was pretty much close to the beginning. I mean, 2 years in, that's still the beginning, in my opinion. For a video game, I mean, a year to 2 years in, that's still kind of new. Because, I mean, video games take long to make, but then also, nowadays, especially, like, video games take so long to get off the ground. And, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Dota was first. And Dota was, I wouldn't say, like, huge, but it was definitely big. Like it was big enough for people to love it and start making videos and stream it and start doing tournaments. And then League of Legends comes along, and in my eyes, when I first saw it, it was a little bit longer later after that, but I was still kind of like, what are these people doing? Like they're really going to compete against Valve with their own version of their MOBA game? Like there's no way. And now I would argue League of Legends is way bigger than Dota. Even though Dota is super huge, but I still think League of Legends is bigger than Dota. Would you not agree?
Absolutely. And see, the original Dota, I believe, came out, what was it, 2011? That's when
I
the first Dota came out.
well, if that's true, then Dota came after, but I don't think so. Let me look
Then
it up real
maybe.
quick. Keep talking. I'll look it up.
I'm trying to remember. I know I saw some, but that was forever ago. But I remember Dota, and I never even heard of Dota until Dota 2. And I had a few people that I'd watch like YouTube videos and all that. They post videos like Dota 2 gameplay. And I was like, man, this game looks really, really confusing. I will never play a game like that. Ever. It's just not happening. And then again, best friend, it's like, hey, play this game called League of Legends. And I'm like, well, what is that? And he explained, you got a character, you pick your champion. From there, you kind of want to just get into the games. You don't even want to really screw around with the tutorial or anything. And that's probably my mistake. I did not screw around with the tutorial.
True. So, okay, I looked it up. So it looks like the Dota that we know and somewhat love, came out in 2013, and League of Legends came out in 2009. But obviously, as we all know, Dota was originally a mod on Warcraft 3, and then Valve took over those rights and made it So technically it was earlier, but the Dota we know and love today came out 2 years, or sorry, 4 years after League of Legends. So it's kind of a yes and no, where like Dota was a big deal because obviously when quote unquote Dota and Warcraft 3 came out, it was a huge thing. People did love it a lot. And they loved this new mod and this different, totally different game. Um, and I guess I'm gonna assume that's what inspired League of Legends because it was so popular, maybe from a business standpoint, not because they just wanted to passionately make the game. But it's turned into that, right? Like the community is so passionate about League of Legends. Like the headline on Twitter. Let me look at this real quick. So on Twitter, League of Legends Season 10. The headline is, so this is from the League of Legends Twitter account. It says, "Thank you so much for 10 years of League of Legends. Hope you'll be with us for 10 more." And then just different posts from professional players, just regular people talking about how much they fell in love with the game. Um, Here's one from Sky Williams. Does that name sound familiar to you, Sky Williams?
That one actually does not. And I
Uh,
follow the esports arena or the esports scene quite a bit.
It looks like he is just a streamer. He says League of Legends created me in 2013. At Mark Merrill flew me out to do stand up in front of most of the staff. I never imagined my life being what it is now. League brought y'all into my life. I'm so excited to see what comes next. Happy League 10th, y'all. So it looks like he's been in with it for a while. But I'm just using him as an example. There's so many like this on Twitter right now of just people saying, this changed my life. I've met so many different people. This game has meant a lot to me. It has changed my life. So it's and I guess we could talk about this too in regards to League of Legends because I think it's video games in general, but League of Legends is still probably one of the biggest games right now. I mean, obviously in the public eye, Fortnite is the biggest game, but when you think of global, I mean, League is definitely up there. I would say probably second or maybe even passing Fortnite in terms of just popularity because in South Korea it's huge. Here in America it's pretty huge. I mean, all around the world, and it has changed so many people's lives. And I just want to know your thoughts on what why do you think that is? Like, why do you think League of Legends is so popular amongst people, including yourself? Like, why do you love League of Legends so much, and why do you think other people get so attached to it and are still playing it 10 years later?
For me personally, it's all about feeling accomplished in what I play. You know, League is very, very rewarding in the aspect of you feel like you're doing something. The loot boxes are easy to get, and that even wasn't even something that they added until more recently, relatively recently compared to the history of the game. But they feel, you can honor your teammate. If you feel like your teammate did really good, you can let them know, and that's a big thing. I've made a lot of friends on this game. People who thought, I was just a good player, or people who thought I was funny, and it's just made some, I mean, at this point, probably lifelong friendships. And I think for a lot of people, it's the same thing. A lot of people see League as a rewarding experience, but also another medium in which they can meet new people and form new friendships. It's not, it's not hard to hop on your keyboard real quick, hop into a game, and then just start talking to your team. Whether you're working together on something or you're just BSing, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, what's up?
Are you in the middle of a League of Legends game right now?
As a matter of fact, I am.
I can hear the mouse clicking, but still, like you're still talking to me. We're trying to shoot this video, and you're still like, I gotta play League of Legends. Like that's that's the, I guess, grand thing about this game is that you can also kind of play it while doing other things. That's what I see out of it as someone who's on the outside of League of Legends, where like it seems like one of those games that you can just hop in, but you don't have to be like 100% focused on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like I know there's strategy involved, and there's, you have to pick your items to the character you're playing, like get the right build. But at the same time, I feel like I could have a video on and watching like TV, but also playing League of Legends at the same time. Kind of like Minecraft, where Minecraft is also one of the biggest games right now, and it seems like just one of those games where you can play passively, where you can still play it but also be doing other things. Am I wrong on that?
And see, that's another really big thing about League that I love is that there are multiple different game modes. There's so many games where if you're playing it, you've got to be playing it. Otherwise, you're going to miss stuff and it's just not going to end well. But with League, you can jump into the same game mode that I'm actually on now, Aram, all random, all mid, and it's just kind of a for fun game mode. So if I look away for a minute or two to watch something real quick, or if I'm, distracted, my team doesn't have to control a whole map. They have to control one small section, and it's easier to do.
So
And
like,
so it gives you that opportunity to kind of multitask.
yeah, so you could be doing something else, or like you just maybe you're like, I want to play games, but I also don't want to like be so invested in anything right now. Oh, I'll just play League. Like I'll just do that and just kind of play it passively. Give me something to do. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Basically, like you can hop into an Aram or you can hop into bots. If you don't want to deal with real people, you don't want to talk to real people or things like that, then you just hop into a bots match where you're playing against just AIs. And that allows you to not necessarily relax, but it allows you to experience another side of game, a less stressful side of League.
Right. I think I think like kind of like our video earlier this week where we were talking about Fortnite Chapter 2. Like I feel like if I went up on the street anywhere in the world and I held up a thing that said League of Legends, I'd be like, "Do you know what this is?" And people like at least, casual people are like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of League of Legends. I know that name." And then at most they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I know that's a video game. I know it's really popular in, South Korea or whatever." Like it's so mind-blowing of just video games in general now that they're such in the public eye that even games like this, where maybe when we were kids, this would have gotten not much attention. Like it would have been very big to us, but if you would have brought it up to anybody on the street, they'd been like, "What? What is this League of Legends? Like, what are you talking about? That sounds so cheesy." But nowadays, it's like, "Oh yeah, League of Legends. I've heard of that." Or, "Oh yeah, I watched the tournament on Twitch recently, and I saw them win millions of dollars." Like, it's so crazy that games like this and Fortnite and Minecraft has such an impact on pop culture even nowadays. Maybe League of Legends a little less than the other two, but it still has a big impact because people know about it. Like it still being around 10 years later should say something because most games even nowadays with video games being in such the public eye, you know, League is one of those games that just sticks because most games will maybe die off in a couple years, maybe still be active but not as big in like 2 3 years. Whereas it's 10 years later and this game is, I would argue, bigger than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. They have been doing some massive stuff to League. Another really big keynote that I think a lot of video game developers can actually take, they can see this and learn from and implement into their own game is that Riot really listens to their players and not just their professional players, actually. They have dedicated people who work for Riot whose only job is to sit there on the League of Legends subreddit and listen and read what players are saying. And so if a majority of players are saying, "Hey, this character is really strong, this is ridiculous," Riot's like, "Hey, okay, let's balance him out. Let's figure out why they're so strong. Is it just a skill level issue? Are we seeing just a lot of him being played in the lower ranks, or are even our pro players having issues with it?"
I also kind of
You
want to
know,
I want to throw TFT into this too, Team Fight Tactics, because you can argue that it's pretty much the same game just thrown into an auto chess form because it's the same characters, they have same abilities, there's same items that you throw on them. So when they launched TFT earlier this year, like I think that kind of also expanded it because again, someone like me who never really played League, I knew what League was, but I didn't really care for the MOBA franchise, like the MOBA game genre. I just it just never seemed like a type for me. But auto chess, I just got sucked in. I think wasn't I talking with you about this when it first came out? I was like, I played for 2 days straight. Like on my days off for work, I literally just played nonstop all day on that game. And I started being like, "Oh, this guy looks cool. What's his name? Garen? Oh, I like Garen. oh, he swings his sword around. That's so cool. He spins it and just like does a lot of damage. That's awesome. It's because it's also the characters. Like that's what hooked me in initially into TFT. Is like it was an auto chess game that there's two or three others out there, but these characters, even if I'm not as enticed into like the main game, it still was like, oh, that dude's cool. He looks awesome. Oh, his name's this. Oh, I like his abilities. Oh, what's this chick's name? Oh my gosh, she turns into a dragon. That's so cool. And I also think that's why it's so big, and even bigger than like Dota or any of these other MOBA games is the characters. Because even Blizzard's coming out with the Heroes of the Storm, right? And those are very established characters over the course of years, literally years, even probably decades at this point, and they just couldn't grasp them being in this different world. Whereas League of Legends, these characters being in a MOBA, and then you throw them into an auto chess game, like it still works. I feel like you could throw these characters into a first-person shooter like Overwatch, and they would still be popular. Like
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people see Riot spends a lot of time on their character development, and it's not something that I can necessarily say these other MOBAs do or don't do because again, I don't play them. But they spend so much time on character development that we see maybe 4 or 5 characters. And that's not just characters. They might release 2 new characters, 2 new champions a year, and then they do reworks on champions that aren't, they're needing the love. They need some TLC.
right, that's my point. You said you don't play like Dota or Heroes of the Storm, but you play League of Legends. But I feel like it's mostly, I feel like from an outside perspective, it's because of these characters too. Because I hear you all the time talk about, oh, they announced this new character. Oh, did you see the skin for this character? Like this and that. Like if Dota had a character pop up, you'd be like, nah, it looks just like another demon. It looks like a dude who shoots fire. Whereas when a League of Legends character comes out, it's like, whoa, who is this? Wow, look at their abilities. Like, what do you think is so enticing about the characters of League of Legends versus a character from Dota per se?
I feel like every League of Legends character feels unique. They feel like they really took time designing a character. I've seen some characters from Dota, and I mean they pull characters or they pull ideas from like mythology. There's a dryad chick. I don't even know her name. I think it's Luna or something like that.
Hmm.
And that doesn't even like the name. It's just like, oh yeah, this is Luna. It's like, oh, okay, she's the moon. Well, no, she has nothing to do with the moon. It's like, well, then what's the point? Hold on, I'm confused now. You know,
Yeah.
because like with League, you have characters like Vladimir, and I get it, like Vlad the Impaler. He deals with like vampire stuff, and so that one's kind of cliche. But then you have characters like Gnar, who is a little. They call him Yordles, little characters, but he's like itty bitty. But then he gets big. He transforms. And it's like that's unique. You can't go through history and pull some character from mythology or something that does that. And Dota just feels like they're not unique characters. Like they take ideas that have been around for thousands of years or something, and they just animate a character into it.
Okay.
Even Smite is more original to me with that because they're using, it's a game based on mythology. That was their whole purpose. That's all they designed it for. And so you've got Greek gods and goddesses and Romans gods and goddesses, things like that.
But that's also why I don't think it's so important, or so I guess enticing, is because yes, high res created those character models, they created the weapons and all this stuff, but it's still drawing directly from mythology, right? Whereas League of Legends, it's totally unique. Like, I remember seeing Teemo, which I don't know if he is basically the mascot of League of Legends, but that was the first character I ever saw, and I was kind of like, whoa, what's that character? Wow, it's a little like squirrel thing, with a helmet on. Like it just like it hooked, it just kind of drew me to it. Even if I wasn't playing the game, I was still kind of like looking at that character, like, wow, that's a pretty cool character. I want to know more about that character. And
I,
before we go, we got to wrap it up here soon. So I want to quickly ask you, some of your highlights of League of Legends in the past 10 years. Like, I'm going to say mine first, which is probably the biggest thing I can think of as an outsider was that music video that they released like a year ago. Remember that? The K-pop?
The K-pop one, see, that was a
Yes.
big deal.
So I'm
They
looking at that right
collaborated with an
now.
actual famous group, you know?
I'm looking at that right now on YouTube. That has 271 million views right now. 271 million views. And I remember when that first came out because that was kind of like the Fortnite thing of Chapter 2. It wasn't as big, but it was still. I remember seeing going on Reddit and going on Twitter, people like, dude, check this music video out from League of Legends. Like those are League of Legends characters using a pop group song and like doing a music video. I was like, what? And so I went and looked at it, and it looked so good. It was so enticing. Like I couldn't not watch it all. And I feel like
Yeah,
that
they did so much work on that.
yeah, I feel like it got so much buzz from even some main media articles being like, "What is this League of Legends thing?" If they never heard of it, being like, "Look at this thing. This looks good." Like that's the biggest thing I can remember. I know it was more recent, but I think you have something probably a little earlier on in League of Legends life that you'll remember. But what is something that you will stand what's the biggest standout, even if it's not super huge like that? What is something that you remember personally as probably one of the biggest things in League of Legends?
I remember through everything that they've done, I remember the very first LCS. You know,
Oh
I'd
yeah.
watched it somewhere on YouTube later on because again, I didn't even know what League was until I was well into season 2. But Fnatic winning the very first, LCS League Championship series, and that was such a massive deal. It was just, it was something new. They League of Legends have been around not even a full year, and they had already done a massive championship where they gave away $1 million to the winner.
Yeah, I've totally forgot about that. Because I forget that how much League of Legends has influenced esports in general. Like throwing out that much prize money, selling out stadiums, like early on in its life. Like it changed esports. Like I think when people will look back at the history of esports, they'll see like the Halos and the Call of Duty and, all these other games there, but I really think games like League of Legends really put it on the map. And because it got so big in like South Korea and Japan and all these other places where it just got so much viewership and then all that prize money dropping, like yeah, it really did change esports in a way where it had these big numbers and all this prize money and all these players. And I think other esports kind of looked at that and then realized, because I remember like Halo, when Halo 3 was a big thing, back in like 2007, 2008, they weren't in stadiums, right? They were in kind of like event halls, playing these games, and then League just came around and just stomped everything else in the dirt. And then people realized that they need to, oh shit, we need to step up our production value. We need, this could be a serious thing. Like that's when I remember like esports being taken seriously was when League of Legends happened.
Yeah, it would be hard to argue and say that League of Legends was not the birth almost of esports. Because I mean,
Of
we
modern
had
of modern esports.
of modern esports. Because we had Gears, and Gears was huge in the esports, and then there was still Halo tourneys before Halo 3, things like that. But I really feel like League of Legends set the precedence for modern esports. And because of that, we are now seeing esports arenas. We're seeing esports selling out stadiums, football sized stadiums that are being sold out to watch people compete for money on a video game.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I don't think that would have happened without League. I really don't.
uh, I think maybe it
At
could
least
have,
not as
but
early.
yeah, not definitely not as early. Like again, now looking back on it, I'm pretty sure League was the start of that. Like again, there was other games, but League just kind of cranked that shit up to 11 and said, "You wanna get this big? Be on our level." And everyone had to kind of be on their level you know, and it's they still don't compete. Like even like a game like again like Dota, which is probably one of the biggest esports games also, it's still not as big as League of Legends. Like it's gnarly how big one game can be in a realm of thousands of other games, especially when it comes to esports. And I will salute League of Legends, even though I don't play it. It's an amazing game. It earns so much respect, and I think it'll be one of those games that goes down in history where when you look back at a textbook, the textbook of video games, it'll be there. Um, you know, it will never be forgotten, and I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We're going to put our final thoughts on it. I just want to say happy 10 years, League of Legends. Congratulations, Riot, on making such a good game. And Shado, if you have any other last thoughts.
If you've never played League, you've never even heard of League until our video, it's free to play. Download it. I'm not sponsored. I wish I was. I could quit my job. But seriously, give it a try. It's free to play. It's a blast. And follow me on Twitter.
Oh wow, really? Just drop that in there?
Shameless self plug.
We're talking about League and you have to drop your own Twitter. It's on the screen, man.
Hey,
Ah well.
I gotta do what I gotta do.
Fair point. Congrats, League of Legends. That'll be it for this episode. We will see you guys next week for some more news of the week, casual news, and also maybe some more fun stuff. Check out our earlier videos of our last news of the week, where we talk about Blitzchung responding to Blizzard, and then also our newest show called Am I Wrong, where me and Panda debate on Fortnite Chapter 2's marketing. Thank you so much, guys, and we will see you all in the next video.